I'd like to welcome everybody here. Welcome to East Tennessee State University. If you are not familiar with where you are, and students, how many students do we have here tonight? Raise your hands. And then maybe folks that work here, faculty or staff, a couple people. And then how about folks from the community? A few people? Good. All right. Well, this is great. I would love to be able to ditch this mic. Am I going to be able to do that? No. Okay. Bummer. Okay. I'm Stephen Marshall, and I would just like to welcome everybody. I am from the Department of Mass Communication, and also like to thank ETSU Career Services, Dave McGee, who has helped us quite a bit. Dave, thank you. And also the American Advertising Federation for sponsoring our event tonight. We have some AdFed people who are around, and if you're interested in talking to, I've got actually an alum, Patrick, down here from Bristol Motor Speedway, who is part of the AAF, and the AAF's a great organization to be a part of. We have a student AAF chapter here on ETSU's campus, American Advertising Federation, and so it's something that if you're interested in, you can always email me later or come up and talk to me, and I'll talk to you about it. But Patrick actually is looking for interns, so if you're somebody that's a student, there you go, paid internship at Bristol Motor Speedway. That's a pretty cool gig. So, so what we're doing tonight is we're going to have so you all kind of know what we're doing tonight. We're here talking about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a very, very important tool for folks who are going to be soon to be professionals, students that are here, but also folks who are actively professionals now. And I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about I'll talk about what we're doing here tonight, but I just want to make the casing point that what we're doing is giving you an idea of the things that you should consider to be effective in LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, like any social media platform, you can do a tremendous deep dive. I've gotten some great emails about folks going, hey, I really want to generate more leads for my business. I really would like to capture alumni and those kinds of things. I can help you with that. But that's not what we're doing here tonight. What we're doing here tonight is all about you, and it's all about putting yourself out there in a professional space. So we are going to be looking at what LinkedIn is and why it's important, tips for building that profile. And then part of that profile building is having the correct connections, making the right connections, and putting yourself in the right groups, and then using those groups to help you not only land a job and all the tools that are in LinkedIn right now to do that, but also probably even more importantly, if you're in a job right now, to start doing it right now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should do that. So, we're going to start everything off with my kid, okay? And I have my kid up here. Why do I have my kid up here? Well, first of all, it was a great opportunity to get him on the biggest screen I possibly could. So why not, right? Actually, also, before I get started, I want to thank Academic Technology, David Curry, who is doing the videoing tonight. If you like what you see here, you will be able to find it at a later date, available, streamable, so you can share it with some friends if you think it's worthy. So back to my kid. There's my kid. So why did I bring my kid into this? Well, I brought my kid into this because my kid just got your attention. My kid just gave you something to talk about with the person sitting next to you. My kid just worked as a device to lighten the room, to change the vibe, to do some things. That's what just happened with my kid. And so what we're going to be talking about tonight is this idea of content and how content is so important. And we have lots and lots of different social media platforms where we're creating content now. How many people are on Facebook? Right, so Facebook, the most popular social media platform there is right now, okay? But LinkedIn's not Facebook. How many folks are on Instagram? All right, probably the most popular besides Twitter, the most popular social network among college students right now, not Facebook. How about Twitter? I mean, all these social networks that we're talking about, they all have a purpose. They all have a distinct job in the sense of what they provide in terms of a consumer experience, but also just a experience among other people and the content that we create, and we use it to tell stories about our lives. And that's what we're going to be doing here tonight. But tonight we're going to be talking about our own story, our professional story, and the story that you can tell on LinkedIn. And the thing that makes LinkedIn different, there are a few things that make LinkedIn different than the other social networks, and I just picked 3. I mean, you all know there are so many social networks that are happening, and there's so many. In fact, when I go onto YouTube and I go to share a video, YouTube being a social network, I go to share a video, there are icons there that I don't know what they are. I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. And I'm professionally in this space. I come from the University of Florida. I used to work for Nielsen, and I am very interested in audience research. That's what I do here. I'm very interested working for Nielsen. I work for broadcast networks, cable networks, advertising agencies, PR firms, and working with them on data. And I really happened into this whole space right here because of networking and because of putting myself out there. I never intended on being a professor. I never thought I'd get to serve this great university that I get to serve, and I never thought I'd get to dedicate my life to improving other people's lives, which is what I do for my students. At least that's what I try to do. That's my mission, at least. So, but I got here because of I put myself out there, I networked, and I took a chance. And so that's what I'm asking you all to do when you leave here tonight, to think about LinkedIn. If you're not, how many people are on LinkedIn right now? So like just about everybody in here. How many people feel like you know what's going on LinkedIn? Just a couple people, right? Yeah, all right. So, well, that's good. I'm glad you're here. But the thing is, old school networking, because I'm talking about before any of this thing happened, it was all about making these connections with people, doing work for people, providing value for people. Doesn't change with a social network, all right? You're trying to figure out what is, in a sense, what is it that's valuable that I can put out there about myself, and what is it that I can do to get back to my kid, all right? And to make an impact, to get your attention and have you engage with me. So my story anyway, which I'm going to tell just real quick. So my story, I come from the University of Florida. I came here to teach. I now get to do some consulting for a great company called Creative Energy here in Johnson City. And I get to work with great clients like Pals and Coca-Cola, in addition to all this other awesome stuff I do. So am I a LinkedIn expert? This is my disclaimer that's on the side of the cigarette, or the knowledge pack you're about to smoke, okay? Caution, LinkedIn expert, maybe not. Do I know how people communicate? Do I know the digital space? Do I know how to engage people with content? Do I know how to create value? Do I know how to measure that? You bet. And that's why I think I'm very, very much a good person to have this discussion about LinkedIn. All right, so I'm going to show you a lot of screenshots tonight, and a lot of my screenshots are going to be sourced if they're not just from my own personal screen. Those of you that are on LinkedIn, this should look very familiar. This is the LinkedIn screen. But what I want to show you is tonight we're going to break all this stuff down, because there's a tremendous amount of content, and there's a lot of options and things to do. And the whole idea here is for me to help you set up an effective profile, to give you some data, which is what I do, to give you some data that's going to help you prepare your profile better than it is now. And so hopefully when you leave here, you'll leave here with that nugget of knowledge. All right, so let me start with just some Communication 101 class. All right? We always want to think, what do we want this to do for us? All right, Facebook has a mission. Twitter has a mission. Twitter is very instantaneous. It's happening, yeah, sure, you can go back, you can look at hashtags and all this stuff, but it's an instantaneous conversation. Facebook is very much a, here's what's happening, but also here's my life. You can go back. They have it categorized. Here, you can look at 2010, 2012. Here's your images from 2013. So that's really Facebook. Neither of those platforms, and Instagram, kind of the same thing, but those platforms are not made to be a professional space for you. They are not made to be 100%. When you get into that platform, you're talking about being a professional. And you're talking about having conversations with other professionals, and you're talking about marketing yourself. All right, so you're thinking about your objective. What is it that I'm trying to do? Maybe you're trying to land a job. That's going to be a way that you want to think about LinkedIn. Maybe I already have a job, but I really need to start networking and building up my networks with the people that I'm in rooms and meetings and these different things with right now. I want to tell you, that is one of the most important things you should do with LinkedIn. I mean, right now, when you're not looking for a job. And then maybe the third part, a lot of you students, hey, I need to be on LinkedIn, but I don't know what the heck to do, and I haven't really done anything yet because I'm a student. That's okay, right? What I tell my students is that you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity right now in this class to friend on LinkedIn, to connect with on LinkedIn all these people that are in this room with you right now. Because you're not going to have that chance when you get out, when you graduate. You're not going to be in Marshall's class again. You're not going to have a chance to say 5 years from now, because you connected with somebody and now you're both in Nashville and now you're both at different firms and you have this, you don't have anything else in common except for Marshall's crappy class. Just kidding. Maybe my class is great, right? But you get to talk about my class and you're connected, all right? It was just 2 weeks ago, I'm working on this thing that is an exciting research paper that I was asked to do, that has to do with television viewing of retired and post-boomer audiences. Doesn't that sound exciting? Television viewing. So I'm going, yeah, I'm actually kind of excited about it. But, because I'm going, it's got to be more than just Judy and Jeopardy, right? Maybe, I don't know. Sorry. But what was my first call? My first call was not actually a call. My first call was to get on LinkedIn and email somebody who I haven't spoken with in probably 9 or 10 years at Nielsen, where I used to work, and say, can I please get some data for free for a research paper that I'm doing on this particular audience? I didn't have to go find a phone number. I didn't have to Google her up. I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I'm connected to her. I'm constantly connected to her, right? So the whole idea, and we used to get when we were in Facebook, we used to get so in the habit of friending somebody. We meet somebody and we'd friend somebody. And then in fact, we would friend their friend. Like, hey, well, I was kind of like in the corner, but, I saw you, so, how about we be friends, right? And so, but we don't do that with LinkedIn. We feel uncomfortable about that. All right, so we're going to talk about breaking that uncomfortable thing down, but we're also going to talk about the importance of picking the right connections as well. So, thinking about objectives, all right? Then you have a strategy. So that's your overall, what is it you're trying to do? And in our world, my world of marketing communication, we think about those things as image, message. So in other words, what's my image that I want to project? What's my message that I want to project? And then how do I want to associate myself? What kinds of things do I want to have connected to me? I mean, that's what all brands do. I'm going to pick on my buddy Patrick down here, Bristol Motor Speedway. Okay, you watch any NASCAR race, how many dang logos can they get on a NASCAR? Right?
Depends on how they're paying.
Okay. So the whole point is that there's an association there. And we're going to do that with LinkedIn. We're going to talk about that. So those things. And then we're going to say, how are we going to deliver this? And we're going to talk about the different ways. The tactic is actually making that strategy happen. And then the thing that differentiates LinkedIn from these other social networks we talked about, analytics. If I want to know right now who looked at my Facebook page today, unless my personal page, unless I'm managing a page, really can't do that. LinkedIn, I can go and I can see, and in fact, I can use that knowledge and that analysis to help me understand who's looking at me, from what industry are they from, where are they coming from, how often, and I can work on building my profile to, again, get back to this part. So this is a cycle that we're talking about, and this is what differentiates LinkedIn from these other social networks. Going backwards. All right, some data, okay? I love data. Data's fun. So we have 300 million professionals across the world on LinkedIn. This isn't chump change. This is a big social network. All right, 300 million. 3 million companies, 60,000 different college and alumni groups. 60,000 college and alumni groups, not people. 150 plus industries. This is circled, and you'll see things that are circled tonight. This is circled because this is our group. This are the students that are in here right now, and the recent grads. This is the fastest group of growth in LinkedIn right now. The fastest group. So you all that are here, you all are part of the curve, but you can see it's not as much of a contributor as the folks that are here, because I can also tell you that 43% of people that are on LinkedIn have 500 or more connections. So there are some heavy, what we consider heavy users of LinkedIn. And it's not that you have to be a heavy user of LinkedIn. I don't even know that I'm a heavy user of LinkedIn because I love my job. I'm not actively searching. I use LinkedIn for some clients, for some lead generation and those kinds of things. But that's not necessarily to sell myself. But you get in the space and you have to start looking at it and doing things in it. All right, so are we going to talk about all this stuff? No. But there's some major things here, and I thought this was, I was looking at, how do I tell the story of the ecosystem of LinkedIn? And then I found this. I'm like, this is beautiful. So I could totally geek out on this. But some major things I want to point out here. Inform, educate, and inspire. This is a great thing to think about for LinkedIn. 1 in 3 professionals are on LinkedIn. So 1 in 3 right now in the United States. A third of folks, actually more than that, almost half now, are using LinkedIn on mobile, which is really a trend for all digital, period. All the analytics stuff I look at for clients, 35 to 50% of traffic is coming from a handheld device. So that's a really important thing to think about, even if you run a business. Snackable content. That's what we talk about with snackable content are just little bits and pieces of information that you want to serve up. Not a big bite. It's a snack. Right? So you're going to tell your story, but you're not going to kill somebody with the story. And you're not going to give them way too much of a deep dive in any one thing, but you want to give them enough information. Let's see. The power is in the network, and that is the truth. So we're going to use LinkedIn to tell our own story, and that's really where we're going to start right now. Is you all are already on LinkedIn right now. Many of you are. So let's talk about what are some really great things that you can do to improve your LinkedIn profile. All right, so it all starts with your name and what you do, and where do you live, and what company are you working for. Up here I have 2 different profiles here. Again, this is a great blog. Much of this content is coming from a great infographic that's available right here. And if you're interested afterwards, I can share that with you. But this is kind of a summary of a bunch of different points. So when you think of course, your name and your photo, you've got to have a great photo. That's why we had people out here taking pictures. You have to have a great photo. And as you can see, it's got to be a photo that focuses. You don't have a big space for your photo, all right? You don't have a space for you to put a collection of pictures, right? You got one shot for your photo. And so it's got to be a good one. There's a lot of data out there. Some people say, oh, don't do black and white. Black and white's not good for LinkedIn. And at the same time, there's studies out there that say black and white is really great for LinkedIn because it's not as used as much. But the thing is, if you're going to use a black and white picture, it better be a good black and white picture. Don't take a color picture and make it black and white. Not unless you got some Photoshop skills. You want to have a really, really great picture. All this information is very, very important because everything that you're doing in LinkedIn has to do with big data, has to do with search, has to do with being able to analytics, every bit of it. So not only the drop-down categories that you can fill these different things in, but also the words that you write on your pages. The words you write on your pages. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get into our experience. So, how many people in here have a custom URL for your LinkedIn page? Okay. So this is an important thing to have. LinkedIn allows you to have this. All right, so you can create a custom URL. I've got down here Stephen Marshall, PhD. So that's my own LinkedIn custom URL. And I use this. I have a website, yeah, I do. But I use this to promote myself. So if you get an email from me, it has a link to this page because I'm constantly trying to build my network. And this custom URL, again, is part of SEO strategy, search engine optimization strategy. So you can see here 14 times more views with a profile picture, 15 times more views. If you add your industry, again, this gets back to your connections, and we're going to talk about, and also your job search and the jobs that you're served through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn allows you to publish. So you can write things, you can, if you're a content creator, you can publish video, you can do a lot of different rich media, a lot of different opportunities are there for you. And that's a way to increase the activity. It's like anything else. These social networks, they run on to keep it very simple, not to say that I completely can understand everything about it, but I can explain it to you in a way that I understand, okay? Is that there are analytics behind every bit of these social networks. And they are looking at a number of different factors. One of those factors is the amount of activity that you are having in the social network. So if you make a LinkedIn page and you go away for a long time, then you're not going to be coming up on different people's feeds. You're not going to be coming up as often in searches and profile views because that activity is part of your profile. But that's not to say you have to publish. I don't publish anything. And you're going to see in a second how I rank among my connections. I'll show you. You can find out how you rank when you get home if you want to as well. I don't publish anything. I rank all right. But that's an option for you. Your background. This is where you get to tell the story of what it is you're doing. Right? So this story could be different based on what it is your objective is. That's where we get back to that very first communication 101. What is the objective that you have? Not to say you need to change this all the time, but you want to insert a call to action. In other words, hey, contact me if you'd like information or if I can help your organization. Contact me if you'd like a free sample of my writing. And that's what we're talking about with a call to action. Asking the reader to go do something. All right, it's a great opportunity for you to insert that call to action, to ask somebody to engage with you. And again, you want to write this for SEO, for search engine optimizing. But you go, oh, Steve, how do I know what words to use? You go to the job boards and you find out what people are writing for the jobs that you're looking for, and you take that language and you incorporate it here. So if somebody is looking for a designer that is really good at Photoshop and InDesign and can possibly shoot some video, and that's the kind of gig that you want to know exactly how are they phrasing those things. What are they saying? And you want to put that information right here. Because again, when people are searching, this is what comes up. If you are able to capitalize on this thing, on the search engine part of this, if you're able to think about your words strategically, you're not just writing words down, you're thinking about what it is, your words have so much more meaning than just the words. They are part of how you are going to be found. And right now on LinkedIn, profiles come up on the first 2 pages of Google when you search. Good profiles do. And the whole point here is you want to be on one of those first 2 pages. Because how many of you go to page 3 or 4 in a Google search? Not many, right? Now, it's like your first 2 pages, I'm out of here. I must not have typed the right words. Right? So you want to be on those first 2 pages. This is a really important point. So let's talk about experience. I've got a couple things to talk about with experience. You want to make sure, again, that it speaks to your audience. What exactly did you do at this company? Don't write big pieces of content. Write some nice introduction piece, and then write some nice bullets, or write some nice phrasing that really talks about what it is you do. Going back to identity and association, make sure that you put the companies, and you can go and you can search on them, and LinkedIn puts them in there for you. But make sure you put the right companies in there, because these logos mean something. These logos might not mean anything to you guys, but to industry people, these logos would mean something. Because logos are an identity. If I put a big swoosh up here, everybody in here goes, that's Nike. I know what that is. Those are my favorite track shoes. Or whatever it is. We have all this meaning that's been created behind that. These are great storytelling pieces just in of themselves. But again, it goes back to when we talk about connections and when we talk about groups, it goes back to creating an effective search that gets you found when you use these things correctly. So, some last parts about the experience part of this. You want to make sure that you are precise, and again, you want to be sure that you're full of copy that is SEO friendly. Now, how many people in here list out your skills on your LinkedIn page? Right? To me, they're kind of, honestly, they're kind of annoying. Because I get endorsed by stuff, and so-and-so just endorsed you, and for a while there, it was like 3 weeks I was getting endorsed for Spanish. No hablo español. Okay? So I was getting endorsed for Spanish, and I'm like, why am I getting endorsed for Spanish? Well, I had mistakenly put it up there, and then it got served up to somebody else on LinkedIn, and they go, oh yeah, Steve Marshall, yeah, Spanish, yeah, social media, yeah, right, all these things. And so you're sitting there going, okay, where's the BS meter on this? But these things are really important because they go back again to the search, the powerful search engine that's part of LinkedIn. And these things are connected to your profile. And when you are looking for somebody, or when somebody's looking for you, and you're using the job board that's on LinkedIn, or you are doing work, or you're trying to apply for a job, and a company says, hey, you can apply here, or you can log in with your LinkedIn account, and we'll just import all your stuff. Has anybody ever applied for a job and had their LinkedIn information imported? So me, not that I'm looking for a job, but I did some consulting stuff where they pulled my stuff in. So I was like, wow, that's cool. But this all plays into search engine optimizing for your own profile. This stuff gets you found. So make sure it's accurate. I mean, don't take it lightly. Make sure it's accurate. Make sure it represents, and make sure people are actually endorsing you for stuff that you want to be endorsed for. I don't want anybody to hire me because of my Spanish skills. Yikes. That would be very scary. I keep going backwards. All right. So, groups. Groups, a very, very powerful tool on LinkedIn. How many people are part of groups on LinkedIn? So groups, a very, very powerful part of LinkedIn. Groups are part of your association because when you have a network, you have these people you're connected with, but when you connect with a group, now you've just connected with a whole bunch of new people that are interested in the same topic that you're interested in, or the same area. And that gives you an opportunity to dive in and have a conversation with them. But again, it also becomes part of your profile, becomes part of your search. So on LinkedIn, you don't necessarily want to be, unless of course you're interested in getting involved in the badminton business, you don't want to join the badminton group and then also join maybe these other groups up here too. You want to try to be strategic with the groups that you're in. And when you look at a group, and we're going to talk about groups when we get into connections and groups, when you look at a group, you want to make sure that it is a credible group, that they are contributing great information. How many people have been in a group where you're getting spammed or you're getting these different messages that you're going, why am I even in this group? This is really a launching pad for somebody to help me lose weight, lose 50 pounds in 3 minutes. And I don't think I want to do that. And then volunteering. So LinkedIn has this section where you can actually put in there these groups, and again, brand logos. They communicate something, they mean something. They are part of your identity. They're easy, associative storytelling that happens right there with logos. Education, of course, means something, right? So we talked about building our original profile and our name. We've talked about talking about our background. We've talked about our experience. We get into education. Education is another linked group. So when you put in there that you're an ETSU grad or that you are a University of Florida grad, you are now connecting with all the other University of Florida grads that are in LinkedIn. So you have your own group of people that you know or that you've met. You've got these groups that you're meeting and that you're involved with because they have content that's similar that you're interested in, and you've got your alumni network. You can see where all these connections exponentially explode, where you can be connected, and I'll show you how powerful it is at the end of this. So again, these are just drop-down choices, but you want to be descriptive here as far as what you do. You know, make sure it represents exactly what it is you went to school for. And make sure it's focused on that audience that you want to talk to. Okay, some last pieces of building a profile. And there's a lot of other ones that are on LinkedIn. Awards. Recommendations. Now, there's a lot of information out there about recommendations, and if you read some blog posts and some experts that will talk to you about LinkedIn, they'll say you need to have at least 10 recommendations. And so what a great thing to do is to give a recommendation and get a recommendation, and that will help your activity. It's not a bad tip, except for the fact that that recommendation won't be really a recommendation. Right? If I just, hey, I'll give you one, you give me one. Is that really a recommendation? I don't know. You know? I mean, yeah, sort of, if it's true. So you want to make sure that your recommendations, again, you're talking about your associations. You want to make sure your recommendations actually represent your work, what you can do for somebody else, and that person is going to be a credible person that's going to recommend you. And it's the worst thing that I can do. I mean, so I get the worst feeling when I have an ex-student that will email me and say, hey, can you recommend me on LinkedIn? I'm like, oh man, I just don't think I can associate. No, I don't know, you know, because you're a nice person and everything, but you weren't like the greatest student. And so I'll do as much as I can, but I don't know, you know, if I'm going to write my name, I'm going to put the truth out there, and that may not be good. Right? So you want to make sure that it's a true recommendation, and that's my advice for that. I've got up here publications, but again, that's just my wheelhouse. That's what I do. I'm a researcher. I'm a social scientist. I'm a professor, and we do research, teaching, and service. That's what the university does, and so that's you know, something else that I would add. I mean, you may not add, but there are other categories, and there are so many of them. You know, so look at them, but be strategic about them. The very most important thing, if you do not leave here with any information but this bit of information, then your whole night will be worth it, okay, in terms of managing your own profile. Notify your network when you change something on your LinkedIn page. You do not want to notify your network unless you want to notify your network. But typically, this could be defaulted as yes. And I have seen so many times where somebody updates their job. I'll give you a great example. Almost 2 years ago, I started working in a consulting manner for Creative Energy. This was checked yes. And so when I put Creative Energy in my profile, it sent out a message to my whole network that said, congratulate Steve on his new job at Creative Energy. I'm like, crap. I am fully employed at ETSU. I love ETSU. I like working with clients. But, oh man, you know? And I had people email me, hey, what happened to ETSU? You're gone? What's going on? You're over at Creative Energy now? Like, and I'm going, oh man, this is not good. But this has happened to some very, very high-level broadcast network friends of mine who have changed jobs and updated their title. And it can drive you crazy. And if you're going to get in there tonight after you're here, or maybe you get in there in a couple days or whatever to update your stuff, make sure you do this. So you're not telling everybody what they already should know just because you decided to change things. Okay, so look for that. Make sure you turn it off. Unless, of course, you want it on. If you do change your job, then you do want to blast that out. You want to tell everybody, hey, you know, I just am now the king of the world. Congratulations on your new job. Well, thank you. Right? So if you want to blast that, this is a good place to blast things out to everybody. But you want to control that. All right, so let's talk about connections. And let's talk about, we're going to fly through some of this stuff, but let's talk about what I told you that was the main difference between this social network and other social networks. The analytics. The main difference. Okay? I can look in here and I can say, Stephen, you are ranked in the top 10% for profile views among your connections. So I am number 78 out of 820 of my connections. That's my own network. So I'm in the top 10%. Is that good? I don't know. I mean, it just depends on what I'm trying to do. Do I want to be number one? Always, but I mean, do I really need to be number one at LinkedIn? Not really. You know, come on, keep it real. But I'm up 3% in the last 7 days. So in terms of my views, people seeing me. And this is the cool thing about LinkedIn, okay? Check it out. You rank top 1% for profile views at East Tennessee State University out of 2,500 people. I'm number 13. Do I look at who number one is? Yeah, I want to be number one. I don't, but 13's all right. I'm in the top. I'm in better than 1% actually. So your rank, I'm holding steady, 7 days. So that's good. Okay, so analytics. How deep can you get with this stuff? What's as deep as you want to go? All right? Do I look at this every day? No, I mean, I was just texting with a buddy before I got here because I was razzing him that I had a better rank than he did because he was razzing me about I was going to be here tonight. And so I said, well, I rank better than you. You can look on LinkedIn and find out. And so, but you can look here, oops, across, here's August, September, October. I can see my profile views, and I can also see when people have been engaging, doing something with my profile. I can also see who's looking at me on a mobile app. So can you all. You all can do this. It's kind of fun. I can also see the folks from ETSU and from other companies who are looking at me. I can also see people that have my same title who are looking at me. This is the power of this network, is that this data is available to us. And we can use this in terms of reaching out and doing things that we want to do with our professional career. Doesn't have to be find another job. You know, it could be just creating the right connections for me to know something that I don't know right now. So when you get into your connections, you get a lot of information about them. And this is just another screenshot of mine. But I want to show you some numbers. My first connections, people directly connected to me, 820 people. People that are connected to those people, 183,000. People that are connected to those people, you're talking in the millions now, and bringing in my groups. So I'm not sure where Kevin Bacon is in that whole mix, but you're talking about the opportunity to really fan out and connect yourself to others. You can look at your alumni group. So remember I said your alumni education, that your education is really important. You can go to your school and you can look at your alumni group and you can see where those people are working. I can see where my folks are working from Florida, Lockheed Martin, Intel, IBM. These are the people that are on LinkedIn, by the way. This isn't, you know, we're not surveying all alumni at University of Florida and putting this. This is the other people on LinkedIn. Do the same thing for ETSU. I can see where ETSU people are. I can see what companies, what folks are doing. I can see the number of connections. We've got 30,000 people that are following the university on LinkedIn. What a great way to talk to alumni. That's a whole nother LinkedIn presentation. Targeting alumni and connecting with alumni. So, alumni groups, very important. Interest groups, extremely important as well. This is where you get to take what you really love and find some other people that really love what you love too. Connect with them, talk with them, start conversations. And for folks that are interested in getting into and finding a job, looking at what jobs people are doing, looking at their story, trying to understand their story, and quite honestly, not being afraid, this is all my students out here tonight, not being afraid to send an email to somebody and say, hey, look it, I'm really interested in what you do. Would you mind if I called you for 5 minutes and we chatted at some point? You'd be surprised how many people would say yes to that. But you gotta be fearless. And you gotta be willing to hear somebody say, no, I'm too busy. Or just not answer your email. If they don't answer your email, no big deal. That's what's so cool about social media. I mean, just in and of itself. I mean, I have had discussions with famous people. I mean, famous to me, like jazz artists and stuff, in Twitter and other places that I never would have had a conversation with them. but I can easily reach out to them, and you know what? If they don't answer me back, then so what? You can do this with your own professional world right here. You can say, I want to be that person. I want to be that woman, I want to be that man. How did they get there? I can see their story, but now I can actually reach out to them and I can find out, maybe they'll talk to me about it. So, the great thing about groups, again, looking at their organization is the discussions that happen, members that are part of a group, and then the number of people that are part of a group that's in your network. And you can look at this and go, this could be kind of a way for you, if you have a network of professionals that do much of the same stuff you do, you can look at that and go, that's a pretty good group for me to be in, because a lot of my people are in that group. Or maybe a lot of people are not in that group. That may not be a good group. There are a lot of bogus groups too. People make a group, and they have maybe the best intentions of it, and then they don't manage it. And then some people make a group just because they want it to, sell you the lose 50 pounds in 3 minutes stuff. And so we'll make all these groups. People will, especially social media. Everybody wants to know about social media, so we'll make a group, bogus group. That's that. So you got to look and make sure. One thing that you can take away from picking out a good group is it an association? So is it an association? The American Advertising Federation that I'm very involved with, it's an association. So I know that this is a credible group. I can trust this group. And that's part of your associations, or the factor of an association is trust. And so you're looking for that in your groups. And I can look and see who are these other people that are in my group. And also check this out, back to big data. All right, your group contribution level. You're just getting started here. I haven't done anything in this group. Start commenting in a discussion and it will give you almost 4 times more profile views. So it will help you. So that activity, again, I told you activity moves you up in profile views. So you have to think about that. Jobs. So we've talked about alumni, we've talked about alumni, we've talked about groups, jobs. Huge job search opportunities on LinkedIn. Not only by companies that are using LinkedIn to import your data into their databases, but also just in terms of job search on LinkedIn. LinkedIn as a job board. Because all my information's already there. Where I live, where I work, what I do, my history, all this stuff in my profile. LinkedIn can serve me jobs that they think I would like. That's the search engine optimizing part of this. And the search engine that's in LinkedIn is very, very powerful. Right, so they're able to serve me these jobs. You might be interested because you're into data, director of data analysis. You might be interested in being a sales executive for a digital company. You might be interested in a job at UT. I'm not interested in a job at UT. Go Bucks. Right? But they're serving me this. I click on it, there's the job right there. Hey, are you interested in this job? You might want to talk to this person because you are connected to this person in your network. You could ask this person about this job. Very, very powerful network that is available to you at your fingertips for free. Now you can pay for professional, you can upgrade your LinkedIn, and it unlocks a lot of other stuff. I don't know that we as people who are just using LinkedIn for the purposes I'm talking to you about today, that's necessary. But anyway, that's, I think, a different discussion. But here, also, people also viewed, so the people that looked at this job also looked at these other jobs. So in other words, couldn't we assume that these people that are looking at this job would probably be looking at a similar job? So now we're getting served up jobs that are similar to this job that I just looked at. Again, that's an intuitive search function. So final tips and tricks. Okay, I'm going to wrap some stuff up here. Some final tips and tricks. All right, the first one is connect right now. Okay, if you're a student, connect to your other students. Be a part of the Buck Alumni Network. Build your network right now among your peers. You have that common connection already. You're in these classes together. You're studying a lot of the same stuff. Right? If you are a professional, connect to the people that you're dealing and you're working with. I can give you two great examples of this. One is just, they're both personally relevant. One of them is what I do before I go meet with somebody that I haven't met before. I look for them on here. I sat down at a table with somebody from a PR firm at Coca-Cola a month ago, and I looked across the table at her and I said, "Go Gators." Because I know she's a Gator. I'm a Gator. Blew her mind. Right? Almost like stalker. But I knew, and I have this conversation piece already, right, that I can have this conversation with her about. My other personal story I'll share with you, and there are lots of stories, okay? These are very easy personal reference ones. My wife, she's a pharmaceutical rep. She was doing phone interviews. Every time she was going to do a phone interview, she would go on LinkedIn. She would find the person she was going to do the phone interview. She would look at their profile. How many people in here look at the people that have looked at my profile? Get those emails and all that stuff. Well, she was doing what we would call priming. So she was going out there and she was saying, "Hello, you're about to talk to me tomorrow. And here I am on LinkedIn, just so you know. Just a reminder. This is who you're going to talk to." Right? So LinkedIn, you can use it right now. And it's great. You want to, and when I leave a meeting, one of the first things I do is I go and I connect to everybody that was just in that meeting. And when I connect with them, I personalize my email. I don't just say, "Hey, Stephen would like to connect with the network." I say, "Hey, great meeting, awesome to meet you. I think we're going to do some cool stuff together. Love your pictures of your dog." You know, whatever. Figure out just something to say. But make it personal, right? Make it personal. You want to personalize what you're doing. I've up here scrutinized your connections, right? The last thing you want to do is connect with somebody that is just interested in connecting with you because they just want to sell you the lose weight in 3 minutes, right? So look at who's trying to connect with you. You know, it's great to have all these connections. And quite honestly, when I get something from I'm connecting with students all the time. I don't scrutinize my students. Bam, yeah, I connect with you. Because I want to keep track of you, by the way. I want to go, yeah, that was my student. You know, so-and-so just changed a job. Heck yeah. Right? I get to keep up with you. That's an exciting part of what I do. It's why I love doing this. But you want to make sure that that person is going to contribute positively to your network. Talked a little bit about priming. Search and SEO, okay? Work together. Search engine optimizing. Think about everything you put on LinkedIn as being a SEO driving force. All the different decisions that you make in terms of those tabs and those different things that drop down menus, but also every bit of copy that you write, every bit of, that's an advertising term, every bit of verbiage or writing that you put on your page. You want it to be focused on your objectives. So you're not just picking words just to pick words or fill space. You're looking at what other people are looking for in a job, or what other people, the correct language that other people are using in that professional space, and you're using that on your own profiles. Create content. So if you do some video work, or if you have a really proud report that you did for your client, or if you have something that you can celebrate, If you have sales records, or you have some kind of certificate that says you were the top 10 in the sales in the district, or any of those kinds of things, scan that stuff, put that stuff in LinkedIn. Create your own content to tell your story. I mean, this is a content, what we would call a content management platform that is free for you to use. So leverage every bit of it for your benefit. Create that content. Okay? And the last thing that I can say is just play with it. You have to get in there, you have to mess around, but remember, turn it off. Don't send out, the fact that you're now speaking French to everybody. Oops. Okay, so turn off your changes, but get in there and mess around. Because you can't be in this space without getting in there and just swimming a little bit. So, I told you the power of the network is right here. So my LinkedIn network, my connections, when you look at my groups and you look at my connections, my 800 and so connections fan out to over 6 million. Little old me. Right, so that's what we're talking about here. And if I want to go deep dive, I can go deep dive and I can go into a lot of detail about any one of those connections. Any questions from anybody? I hope this has been beneficial. I'd really like, I'll take any questions that you might have. It's been my privilege again to kind of throw this thing together, and thank you very much, ETSU Career Services and American Advertising Federation for doing this. This is, I love this place. I want you all to do well, and so that's why I'm standing up here right now. So, any questions that please don't feel free if you have, yeah.
I know that you said we were supposed to make sure we look at our connections, but as far as if someone tries to connect to you that you don't know, but you look at their profile and they're seem like they're not sketchy or trying to sell you something, should you still connect with them even though? Yeah, okay, so the question is, if somebody asks you to connect and you think that that person brings value, right? Can I say that? Yeah. Maybe bring value to your network, should you still connect with them? My answer would be yes. I would, and I do, because I look and I go, is this person going to bring something to my network that would be helpful, maybe not now, but maybe in the future? So the answer would be yes. Otherwise, the answer would be no, and I just would ignore that connection. I think it's a good question. Yeah?
Hi, I've been a little hesitant about maximizing my profile on LinkedIn, just because I'm so afraid of fads. Obviously, you don't think this is going to be a fad.
So the question is, she's afraid of maximizing LinkedIn because of fads, and is this going to be a fad? So LinkedIn started in 2003, and we are now in 2014, and so we've got 11 years of LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's going to be around. So yeah, I don't think it's a fad. I think that the one thing that I tell my students about is no matter if you have Facebook or you have Twitter, you have these different spaces, this is just a professional space. So this could there be another LinkedIn that's a better LinkedIn, that's a better competitor? Yeah, of course, right? We innovate. That's the great thing about what we do. Do I think it's going to be around? Yeah, I do think it's going to be around for the foreseeable future. Great question. Any other questions? So if you have any one-on-one questions, I'd be happy to talk to you. And thank you again. Thanks for coming. It's all right? I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
All right.
Actually, James, if you've